All right, folks, welcome back to another video of excellence here on the WDW Pro channel. Yes, indeedy, you are the gigawatts that power this endeavor that we are attempting. Our fans, our viewers, you drive all the electricity behind what we're up to. And folks, today is just the same. We need you to click that like button, share, subscribe, and when you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Joining me to discuss the biggest box office flops of 2023, we have Steve from Floral from Under a Rock, and we have Lynne of the Rippaverse. Welcome to both of you.
Thanks. I didn't mute myself, but thanks.
You're welcome.
Hello.
All right, opening up with a bunch of positivity. Now, folks, before we dive into the box office, let me say that we know that there have been some big hits out there, some record breakers even. The Mario movie was a huge hit. People loved it. And Barbie is doing quite well so far. We'll see how it plays out for its second and third weekends. And there have been some other good hits as well. 2023 has not been a full slate of losers, but many losers we have had. And we're going to talk about them today and see if there's a common thread that unites what's happening. To do so, we're going to be going through an article from ScreenRant by Greg MacArthur, 12 major movies that have bombed at the box office in 2023. This from July 18th. That's 10 days ago. However, it's pretty much the same because all we've had now is Barbenheimer. That's the only update since. So let's start with number 12, Elemental. This from Disney Pixar. And of course, we know that this movie flopped terribly. My take on this was that watching it was frustrating to me. I believe I gave it a 4 out of 10 or a 5 out of 10, somewhere around there. And it was just frustrating because you could see that there were elements of this movie that were decent enough. And if you'd had a genius like a John Lasseter or some other group of people to kind of filter this and help make it better, it could have been really good. But as is, it was not. So let me turn it over to Kara first. Do you think that this movie failed on its own merits, or is it part of some broader Disney boycott?
I think it's more of the fact that people kind of saw straight through of what it was going to be through the trailer, and people are just kind of over the particular subject matter that Disney is providing right now. Like, this is a movie I haven't watched, and which to me is kind of shocking because I used to be that person every Thursday evening, the preview night. If there was a Disney movie or an animated movie out there, I was there. And this is one that, like, I was just like, oh, it looks like it could be good, but I can kind of tell that it's going to lean towards a certain subject matter that I really don't find appealing to me. So I'm not going to waste my time to go watch it.
Well, not many people did. And Steve, this film only earned 1.6 times its production budget. Now, as we know, films need something like 2.5 to 3 times to earn their full budget back because we have to consider the marketing that's involved. Steve, this film lost Disney at least $100 million. Why do you think that is?
Well, their target audience, which would be a family like mine with a bunch of young kids, and we're looking for things to do on our Friday night family night. It completely, they've sullied the brand so far, so hard by giving us just nonstop junk that I don't want to take my kids to go see that. So for a family night, the one night we went and saw the Mario movie, and we had a great time. We were excited. We know that The Little Mermaid just came out on Disney Plus, and we don't even want to watch it. Like my wife and I are both just like the friends that we had that went and saw it at the drive-in fell asleep. And so no one talked about this one in particular, Elemental. Everyone was just like in normie world, they just didn't care, didn't know. And so Disney has both lost touch with the audience in terms of actual communication, and those that know don't want their family to see it just because they either know it's going to be junk or it's going to be boring. So it's not a shock that it lost that much.
Now, we also need to say that Disney has, since this article came out, a new blockbuster bomb that is failing at the box office, that being Haunted Mansion, now predicted to do something like $25 million domestically in its first weekend. I've seen it. I reviewed it. I gave it a 1 out of 10. I know some people in our orbit have said that they actually liked it, but I think this is up there with Garbage Pail Kids, or down there with Garbage Pail Kids, Rainbow Bright and the Star Stealer, Justin to Kelly, or Justin and Kelly, whatever the name of that movie was. We're talking about the worst of the worst, the worst, and it's looking now like it may lose $100 to $150 million. So Disney
it's
on a
worse.
tear.
So it's worse than the Muppet Haunted Mansion.
Oh, not even close. I mean, I would watch Zombies 3 on loop 10 times over the Haunted Mansion that I just saw.
Because there's the 3 different Haunted Mansion movies, right? There's the one from the early 2000s. There's the Muppet Haunted Mansion from 2 years ago, and this
Eddie Murphy. Yeah, this is easily the worst. This is by far.
Wow.
To give an idea, let me see what anecdote would I like to give on this, folks. There's a spoiler right here. Skip ahead for about 2 minutes if you want to avoid the spoiler on Haunted Mansion the movie. The way that the woman dies, that the protagonist misses greatly. By the way, he's an astrophysicist who, after she died, and he lives in New Orleans because there's lots of astrophysicists in New Orleans. But after his wife dies, he decides to use his astrophysics abilities to create a ghost camera so he can take pictures of ghosts because he wants to take a picture of her one last time. That's convoluted enough, eh? But on top of that, the way she died was going to get tater tots. And in the movie, the way that you know that you're being spoken to from those in the afterlife, like, is when there's something that reminds you of them. That's called a ghost whisper. So, like, if you hear a far-off train and your relative liked trains, that's a ghost whisper. So at the end of the movie, what is the ghost whisper that he gets, this astrophysicist with a ghost camera? Well, there's a cat on his doorstep, and on its collar, its name is Tater Tots. That's the level of bad we're talking. It's so bad, by the way.
Okay, so it's not.
Oh, and he weeps. He weeps as the camera pans away from him and into the sky.
That's
because
beautiful.
He weeps at the joy of the cat being named Tater Tots.
The joy of it, because my wife went to get Tater Tots, died,
That's right.
And now I have this cat in front of me named Tater Tot,
which is a normal cat name, by the way. So yeah.
Well, actually, that kind of is.
It kind of is.
Yeah, but like.
You mean corn dog isn't a cat name? Wait a minute. Well, I've been doing this all wrong.
I do that.
I've been naming it other side items.
You gotta go with like a ridiculous name, or you gotta go with an actual person name for a cat.
Well, anyway, let's hop off Disney for a moment. Let's go to Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. This is number 11 on the ScreenRant list, and this one was actually pretty well received in terms of, we heard a lot of people say they really liked it.
I did.
It did not do well.
This movie.
Well, Kara, quickly tell me, why do you think that why did it fail then? What was stacked up against it?
I'm trying to think of what else was out at that time, but honestly, I think the marketing just wasn't as good as it could have been. Because to me, it was a genuinely good movie, and it had good values behind it, and I think that's kind of why it wasn't pushed as hard as what it was. Because the whole premise of the movie is this guy trying to reconcile with his daughter, and that's he's trying to be a good dad. That's the whole premise of the movie.
Well, maybe this is one of those sleepers that people should go find on streaming then. Is that fair to say?
Yes, which I think it's on Paramount now. I think it's Paramount. I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. But it's one that I'm probably going to buy it because I really enjoyed this movie. I think it could be a cult classic, like kind of like a maybe not quite a cult classic, but I liked it.
Steve, any thoughts on this one?
The only reason why I didn't see it is because I saw enough of the 50-50. If there was more positive, then I would have been like, you know what, I want to go see this, because I do have a friend that would go and watch junk with me. But it's just one of those things where I'm like I love Chris Pine. I actually think he's a lot of fun. I like his Captain Kirk, and so he is an appeal to me. But at the same time, like if that thing doesn't turn into a weapon, then what's the point of me watching Chris Pine? I want to see Chris Pine beat stuff up.
Absolutely. Now, to give people an idea of what this one needed, this one had a big marketing push behind it. We think it needed at least $500 million to break even.
Really?
And it got, it had a $150 million production budget. We assumed that it had at least a $100 million advertising spend. And of course, they get half back. $207 million is what it made. So this one lost some big time money. Wow. Of course, then we've got The Flash, which I think, folks, this needs no explanation. In fact, you can just look at that picture right there, and that tells you all you need to know about why this one failed. The big takeaway, unless you two have something new to say, I think we beat this dead horse, and it's a dead horse. But I think the one takeaway that I would like to add to The Flash that's not been said yet, maybe it has, is that this is really the final nail in the coffin of telling Hollywood that member berries alone are not enough. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's
I
a sad
wasn't
sight.
in that movie. I was initially interested in it, and then everything I saw after that was just like, yeah, nah, this isn't gonna be up my alley.
Ever since Superman and versus Batman came out, I was not interested in this movie.
Great points. Now, we've got at number 9, 65. That's an Adam Driver movie, but I'm not so sure that I really want to consider this to be a flop. No, it did not do well at the box office, but I'm not sure that that was ever the intent. I think this is more of a streaming movie that they kind of said, hey, why don't we release this into theaters and whatever it makes, it makes. But I don't know that this was ever really intended to be a winner. Did either of you see 65?
I started it and got bored and left the room.
Enough said on that. Moving on then.
When everyone said there was no dinosaurs, I was like, okay.
I know somebody who worked on the movie, which makes me really sad. So I kind of feel bad for not enjoying the movie. But it is because I know one of the I think he's either the creature designer or one of the concept artists. But it just wasn't enticing to me.
Well, and when we're talking about some of these things that failed, we want to remind people that we're not making fun of the people who worked on it, unless we're talking about some of those very high-level studio heads who purposefully drive our favorite content into the graveyard. But your average person, they're really trying very hard, and movies are extremely complex. And so, you might think of it like building a house. If the cabinet worker gives it everything he has, but the foundation sucks, it's not the cabinet guy that failed. It's whoever was in charge of this other bigger piece of the house. And that's the same with movies. And we never want to be accused of, or we never want to give the perception that we're making fun of the people who make these movies, because they're really giving it all they have, and they love what they do. So full support to them. Going to number 8. Yes, most of the people. Kathleen Kennedy is not included. Number 8, Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I think this was the one that the dam broke on the year. Like
it's
when this one hit,
I was actually most excited for it, to be completely honest with you. And then when I heard
when it hit this number, though, Steve, you're exactly right. When it hit this number, I think this was like the canary in the coal mine. Do you agree with that one?
Oh yeah, totally. Like it's the first one that started the whole domino effect, right? All of these movies that had $200 million budgets, just like dunk, dunk, dunk. So it just sad. Like, I actually really liked the first one. I thought it was so much fun, and was hoping that this was going to have that same energy. And
it barely made back its production budget. That's not including the marketing spend, and that's not considering the taxes and the theatrical cuts that get taken out.
No,
we're just talking about
And when you consider what the movie, like especially the first one, what it was compared to what this could have been, there's absolutely zero reason for that. You could have probably made this movie for $80 million and probably pitched it.
Kara, did this eliminate the chances of an Isom Shazam crossover?
Absolutely. Maybe
it was
if
in the works.
Gives up Shazam, then we'll see. But
well, they might.
Absolutely not.
After this, they just might.
I'm kind of in the same boat with Steve. Like, that was one I was kind of looking forward to, and then I saw everything about it, and I think a big part of it kind of being hold on. Where's my brain? I think a big part of the reception that it got was because of the actors and what they were saying before the movie.
Good point.
That was part of it. I think that kind of had an effect on the box office.
Now, number 7, of course, is Magic Mike's Last Dance. And I think the fact that this movie bombed may be why women had so much money ready to go for Barbie to watch it 5, 6, 7 times, even going and seeing multiple Barbenheimer back-to-backs. Magic Mike did not take anybody's money. This is one of the most spectacular flops. We've never talked about it on the channel because it's such a flop that it really just didn't even deserve conversation. But here it is for the first time on the Pro Channel. This one had a very low budget, and it made far less than that very low budget. All right, I don't even ask if either of you saw this. Just, can we say this is the end of Magic Mike? Have we reached that point now?
I wish it'd be the end of all of these kinds of movies. Period.
Yeah, we didn't need that.
They don't add any value.
I don't think we even watched the first one.
Magic Mike. That's what we've got. Number 6, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. It's a critically acclaimed film, but a huge box office bomb, chasing the awards but not the money. It made less than $22 million, which is $8 million less than its budget, and that means that it's going to lose tens of millions of dollars. That may seem like very small amounts when we compare it to Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, but the smaller your budget is, the easier it is to make a profit, so kind of embarrassing here, although they're probably, again, just chasing awards. So what do you think about Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Did either of you see this film that no one else saw?
No, I did not watch this movie. I mean, I heard good things of it, which kind of surprised me, especially in our space. But it had a good cast behind it. But yeah, this is one I didn't see either.
You would have thought that it could have at least gotten maybe 40 million, 45 million. If it had, then it would have been profitable. At this point, even with streaming, this is going to be tough to get a profit. We are getting folks into the movies that literally no one went to see. So if you find out that you've not heard of this, that's why it's one of the biggest bombs of 2023. Number 5, Operation Fortune, Ruse de Guerre. So any thoughts on this one before we move on?
Yeah, this is one with Aubrey Plaza. This is one I've actually been wanting to watch. I just haven't gotten around to it yet because it's on streaming.
They need you, Kara. Kara, they need you to go watch this. Please. For their sake, we beg of you.
It's on my list to watch. It's just
Guy Ritchie is going to send you. Guy Ritchie is going to send you a special thank you for saying that. All right, number 4, The Covenant. It's another Guy Ritchie movie. He is on a roll this year, and not the good kind. This one made only $20 million, $55 million budget. Probably needed something like $300 million to make a profit. I got a feeling 20 is not close to 300. So no good. Did anyone see The Covenant? I didn't go see this one either.
I didn't see it either. But it was one that, like, the trailer looked good, and my husband was wanting to go watch it. So I think it's on streaming now. So
I'm starting to see a trend here. Folks, in 2023, it's starting to sound to me like a lot of people said, that looks good. I might like to go see it. Oh, it's on streaming already. Let's watch it at home. I'm starting to get that feeling that maybe if you're not one of these tentpole movies, it's a real, real danger.
Same with Renfield.
Exactly.
Well, that's right. I think that the thing is, like, the studios have put off people, period, just with the junk they've been putting in the movies. But they really, it is a combo that they did train people to not watch their junk in the movie theater. They trained them to watch junk on streaming because then they can just turn it off and walk away. So they literally shot themselves not just in one foot, but in both.
That's a great point. Nobody goes to see the movies, and then nobody goes to buy the DVD, Blu-ray, VHS, whatever you have. It's just on streaming now, and it's a low cost, and there's no correlation between your streaming purchase and the exact thing you want to watch because you're paying a low, flat fee to get everything. Renfield, this one's a victim of Super Mario Brothers. It could not withstand the plumber. And any thoughts on this one before we move on to our final 2?
I don't think it's so much fell prey to Mario. I think that it had zero real marketing behind it because I didn't even know about it until everyone started talking about it. Like Tom and those guys on Midnight's Edge, they're the only ones that I knew even mentioned the thing. So I just think
this one actually went over budget significantly. So that may be why there was no marketing to support it.
That could be it. But also, who releases a Dracula movie in the spring? like if this came out in October, you'd probably have a lot better, or even September, probably had a way better return. But they were probably initially scared of whatever Marvel was going to do in November. And but still, there's like nothing coming out in September or October. So why didn't they just put it out when it mattered?
I cannot explain that one. I'm fully on board with you. Maybe they were afraid of some of these other Halloween season kind of movies. I don't know. I'll tell you one thing.
Renfield. It's on my list to watch.
I continue to hear this. You have a big list and it's growing.
I do.
I bet one that's not on your list though is Beau is Afraid.
Absolutely.
Beau is Afraid.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, nobody heard of this one.
That picture looks riveting.
Yes, it cost $35 million to make. It made about $10 million, slightly less. This is one of those that no one heard of it. No one went to see it. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's good. Let's move on. We've got Big George Foreman as number 1, but folks, this is not our number 1. We'll tell you why in a moment, and I suspect that if you're a viewer of the channel, you'll know why. It says the biggest flop of all major movies thus far in 2023. Not really. is the big George Foreman, budget of $32 million, brought in an uninspired $5.7 million. I don't know that there's much to say about the number one because it's not really number one. So let's talk about the real number one. Here's what we've got, panel. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Easily number one, looking like it's going to cost the Walt Disney Company something like $300
I don't know. I think it's a
million.
genuine tie between what The Flash probably is and what Indiana Jones probably is. They're probably neck and neck, if we're going to be honest.
Well, so let's think about that. So Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, we know cost them something like $350 million in production, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we know that it had about $100 million to $150 million in terms of marketing. It's currently at $337. Okay, it needed $900 million to break even, minimum, right? It's at $337. Mm-hmm. So if you start looking at that and say, well, how much did it make? Or how much did it lose? It's losing hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, when it comes to The Flash, that movie has made almost $270 million. But how much did it cost to make? That's the question.
And
so
that's
The Flash,
the number that was floating was also 350. But
right,
that movie has been in development for 9 years or something. And it was reshot 4 times. So
yeah, so the official original number for The Flash is $200 million. But you're right. That has risen because of those many, many reshoots and how long it's been in development to 350, which is funny because that's the same as Indiana Jones, which was in development for far less time, but still just as problematic. So both films are at something like 350. Okay, now Indiana Jones is going to wind up at about 350 in terms of its theatrical run. The Flash winding up at 267. However, here's why I put Indiana Jones at number one, and perhaps you're right. Perhaps I need to rethink this. But Indiana Jones will go to Disney Plus, and there will be no more money that it makes, period. It's over. It's going to Disney Plus, and that's it.
And no one's going to watch it.
Right. And The Flash will actually go to other streaming platforms under contracts that are pre-obligated.
And so even on HBO, people will watch it. Because they're going to go back and they're going to look at that whole memberberry scene and try to pick out everything.
That's right. And because The Flash then probably has a pre-obligated streaming contract, I'm assuming that it's somewhere around $100 million that it will make after it's out of theaters. Mm-hmm. That would put it at about 367, 370, which puts it $20 million ahead of Indiana Jones in terms of overall revenue versus the budgets are the same. So then Indy is 20 million behind. However, that's making some assumptions. And so, Steve, I could be persuaded to put Flash at number one. It's very close, and you bring up a great point. Kara, tell me why you think Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny was such a disaster.
Because it absolutely belittled Harrison Ford.
Well, that's
people.
Yes, I'm with you on that. He didn't seem to know it though.
There for Phoebe Waller-Bridge. They're there to see Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones kicking some butt, and he's also like, I hate to say it, but he's needs
past
to be
the age of
out.
butt kicking.
Yes, he is. And like, that's nothing against Harrison Ford. Like, he's a fantastic actor, but this is like action movies just can't be his thing anymore. And they really need to kind of accept that.
Well, and they made him seem older than he needed to be in the movie. It was crazy. It's crazy that you try to make your aged actor seem even more aged. Hey, let's do a scene where he talks about how bad his body hurts. Yes, well, that's a good point too. Well, Steve, you brought up a great question that made me really think on the fly there. I really appreciate that. I love when that happens on the channel. The Flash versus Indy, which one is the bigger flop? And so that was great. I loved it. But Steve, something else I love is checking out your channel, and you are getting very close to some milestones. So tell us, where can people find you on this great, big, beautiful web out there?
You can find me on Floral. Well, you can find the puppets right there on Floral from Under a Rock.
Wait a minute, Steve. When Jim Henson did puppets, he called them Muppets.
Yeah.
Should we call yours maybe Fluppets?
You could.
I'm just checking.
If you want to get that ball rolling, I'll try and jump on with you.
Floral and the Fluppets.
And the Fluppets. Yeah. We could try. But yeah, no, we're trying to have some fun. We're at just about 500 hours short of hitting that initial YouTube monetization goal, that lower bar that they've set. And so pretty excited about that. So we're trying to get out more regular content in order to both satiate the appetite for puppets and people that are into that kind of stuff, but also give a unique flair, I guess, to whatever the current media is. But Wednesday nights we make just about having fun and messing around. So if you want to get away from the media talk, come check us out on Wednesday nights when we run the show. We just had Valiant on, and that was great, which I am going to say back in May, him and I, we were having a fight in the back channels about Indiana Jones and Transformers. And I said that if Transformers is probably going to do the same as Indiana Jones, and I was right. So
sticking it to
Valiant. Sorry, I just had to get that out there.
And also let it be said that Floral from Under a Rock is now a partner channel with thatpartplace.com. You can check out Floral's latest videos on thatpartplace.com every day. Bookmark that website so you can find some of your favorite content creators. Kara, you are one of our favorite content creators. You also are working with the Rippaverse. Tell us where people can find you on the web.
You can find me on Twitter, that is now X. It will always be Twitter in my heart. Kind of how Facebook is not Meta. But you can find me at Kara_creates on there. And then I've been doing my content is more geared around like video games, that kind of stuff. So you can find me on YouTube at Kara_creates and Twitch, which is Kara Lynne. And then most Monday evenings, you can find me on Midnight's Edge for Toxic Femininity.
And Kara, what is your favorite video game of 2023 so far?
Ooh, Tears of the Kingdom. Hands down. I think I checked last night. I'm at 160 hours into it.
That sounds like a good time to me.
Yeah, but I keep on bouncing between Tears of the Kingdom and No Man's Sky right now, which are my main two that I'm playing. So those are
I brushed off Fortnite the other day, and I had not played it in years, and I was very pleased with how Fortnite is going. It's amazing to me that game continues to do what it does this far into its lifespan.
Is it still a no build?
Well, no, you can build away.
You can do both. You can do there's many options. So I'm on there now playing here and there. So Wilton the Troll.
Steve is still looking for the Portafort, and yes, Bender's ray gun is OP. All right, folks, the conversation here has come to a conclusion, but the commentary begins. Drop a comment down below. Tell us what you think about these box office flops, and most importantly, who's right on this? Is it Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny at number 1, or is it The Flash? Like a Flash, drop your answer down below. Like, comment, subscribe. We love all of you out there. We hope you're having a great day. Happy weekend as it gets started. Make this world a better place wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Keep growing, keep learning, and keep having fun.
Say it ain't so. This just in. Disney lost money on another movie. Why, that can't be. I thought that John Lasseter fella over at Pixar was cranking out the latest hits, and Marvel was unstoppable, and Disney princesses were a thing, and Star Wars was a multi-billion-dollar money-making franchise. I overheard you talking about Disney, and wanted to let you know you're really behind the ball. If you were getting great articles from thatpartplace.com and subscribe to WDW Pro's YouTube channel, you'd actually be ahead of the culture curve and have entertainment explained.